In the bustling streets of Lagos, Abayomi and Edie had built a beautiful life together. After 12 years of marriage, they were finally blessed with the child they had prayed for. The tall, dark-skinned Abayomi worked as an engineer, his strong hands always gentle when they touched his wife's growing belly. Edie, with her rich mahogany skin and expressive eyes, glowed with the joy of impending motherhood. The night their son was born, everything changed forever. At the hospital, Abayomi's deep voice pleaded with his exhausted wife, "Let's wait until morning. My love, the streets aren't safe at night with a newborn." But Edie, her braided hair disheveled from labor, clutched their sleeping baby boy against her chest. The child had the same crescent-shaped birthmark on his tiny arm that she bore on hers, a family trait passed down through generations. "I just want to sleep in my own bed," she whispered, her brown eyes heavy with fatigue. "Please, Abayomi, we'll be fine." Reluctantly, the broad-shouldered man agreed. They walked through the dimly lit streets toward their car, Abayomi carrying their bags while Edie cradled their precious son. The city hummed around them. Unaware of the tragedy about to unfold, a car screeched to a halt beside them. Masked men jumped out, their intentions clear and violent. Before Abayomi could react, one struck him down with the butt of his gun. The other ripped the baby from Edie's arms as she screamed, a sound that would echo in her mind forever. "My baby. Give me back my baby." Her voice cracked through the night air, but the men were already gone, disappearing into the darkness with their child. From that moment, their marriage began to crumble. Abayomi, nursing both physical and emotional wounds, could barely look at his wife. His once warm eyes became cold and distant. "If only you had listened to me," he would say, his words cutting deeper than any knife. All of this could have been prevented. Edie tried to reach him, tried to grieve together, but he had built an impenetrable wall around his heart. Their once joyful home became a tomb of silence and bitter regret. Months passed like a living nightmare. The nursery remained untouched, frozen in time with tiny clothes folded neatly and a crib that would never rock their baby to sleep. Edie, her once vibrant beauty now hollow with grief, would stand in the doorway holding a small blue sock, tears streaming down her dark cheeks. Abayomi would walk past her as if she were invisible, his tall frame rigid with unspoken anger. The woman who had once been his everything now felt like a stranger. "You had one job, Edie," he said one evening, his voice devoid of the love that once filled it, "to protect our son. But you failed." The words hit her like thunder, and she staggered back, her hands pressed to her chest as if trying to hold her shattered heart together. Desperate to save their marriage, Edie tried everything. She cooked his favorite jollof rice, left loving messages on his desk, and even suggested therapy. But Abayomi dismissed every attempt. "There's nothing a therapist can say that will bring back my son," he said coldly. When Edie brought Abayomi's best friend Shun to intervene, the conversation turned uglier. Shun, a stocky man with kind eyes, tried reasoning with his friend. But Abayomi's response was devastating. "I don't need help, Shun. I need time away from this mad woman. She's insane. And I don't know why no one else is saying it." Edie stood there, her natural hair unkempt, her eyes swollen from endless tears. She watched the man she had loved for over a decade walk out the door, and something inside her died. The sound of the door slamming shut echoed through the house like a final judgment. Meanwhile, Edie refused to give up hope. She appeared on television programs across Nigeria, her voice cracking as she pleaded with the nation. "If you've seen him, if you know anything, please come forward. My baby deserves to come home." The media picked up her story. Some offered sympathy, others criticized, but Edie didn't care. She only wanted one thing: to find her son. Her mother, a petite woman with graying hair wrapped in colorful headscarves, moved in to care for her only daughter. She watched Edie with the eyes of a mother who had known sorrow. But this was a pain beyond her ability to heal. A year passed in agonizing uncertainty. Edie's best friend Lola, a woman with caramel skin and gentle eyes behind stylish glasses, finally decided to intervene. She arrived one morning with a basket of fruit, but her expression carried something heavier than food. "Edie, dear," Lola said softly, settling beside her friend on the worn couch. I watched your interview last night. You've been so brave, but it's been over a year. Maybe it's time to start healing. Edie clutched the baby blanket she always kept on her lap, her fingers tracing the soft fabric. You want me to forget him? Never, Lola whispered. But I want you to live again. Your baby wouldn't want you buried in this forever. Reluctantly, Lola pulled out her phone, her hands trembling. I didn't want to show you this, but I think you need to see it. The screen revealed a devastating truth. Abayomi, standing with his arms around another woman, Amaka, a curvy young woman with golden brown skin and long, relaxed hair. Edie's world tilted. I need to see him, she said, anger flashing in her dark eyes. Abayomi has moved on, Lola advised gently. I think you should too. But then Edie noticed something that made her blood run cold. In the background of the photo was a baby boy. That's my baby, she screamed, pointing at the phone. Abayomi stole my baby for his mistress. Before Lola could stop her, Edie grabbed her car keys and drove straight to the guest house where Abayomi was staying. She burst through the door to find Amaka alone with the child. Without hesitation, she grabbed the baby from the startled woman's arms. The child looked so much like her son, with the same beautiful dark skin and delicate features. But it was the birthmark on his arm, identical to hers, that convinced her completely. How could you steal my son? She screamed at the confused Amaka. That's my son, Amaka protested. But Edie was beyond reason. She pushed past the woman and fled with the child, her heart pounding with a mixture of rage and desperate joy. Edie barricaded herself in her house, holding the child close as police surrounded the building. Her mother and Lola watched in horror as their beloved daughter's world collapsed further. I'm sure, Mama, Edie insisted, showing the birthmark. This child is mine. Abayomi staged everything. When the police finally took the baby and arrested Edie, both she and Abayomi demanded DNA tests. The entire nation waited for the results that would finally reveal the truth. 14 days felt like an eternity when the results arrived. The silence in the room was deafening. Neither Edie nor Abayomi was the parent. The paper shook in Edie's trembling hands as the impossible truth sank in. I don't understand, she whispered, her voice breaking. He looks like me, the birthmark. Then Amaka, her face streaked with tears, revealed the final devastating secret. Shun is the father. It only happened once. I thought the baby was yours, Abayomi. The betrayal was complete. Abayomi walked away without a word. His best friend's treachery the final blow to his shattered world. But for Edie, this moment of clarity brought back suppressed memories. The alcohol she had consumed despite Abayomi's warnings. The sharp pain that sent them rushing to the hospital. The tiny lungs that never took their first breath. Her mind, unable to cope with the devastating loss, had created an elaborate fiction to protect her from the unbearable truth. After intensive therapy, Edie finally began to heal. She learned to grieve properly, not for a child that was stolen, but for a child that was lost. Abayomi disappeared from public view, carrying his own burden of guilt and betrayal. Amaka was left to raise her son alone, the weight of her lies having destroyed everything. The moral lesson resonated far beyond their personal tragedy. Unprocessed grief can destroy everything we hold dear. But healing only begins when we face the truth, no matter how painful. Only by confronting our deepest wounds can we rebuild our lives with strength, hope, and resilience.